In the discourse yesterday, talking about VP Sara's statements during the November 23, 2024 press con, Senator Judge Risa Ontiveros stated, and I quote, "None of these statements are proof that the Vice President actually contracted an assassin or hired one. She is absolutely right." She then asked the question, why are these acts impeachable? To this question, the prosecution responded, "We understand that these statements may not actually 100% prove that she in fact contracted an assassin. End of quote. Hence, the prosecution admitted that the video does not prove any fact other than its existence. In simple words, there is no proof of any contracting of an assassin. The prosecution's admission before this honorable court made the respondent's position clear. The prosecution has no other competent evidence to prove that VP Sara contracted an assassin. Ang testimonya ni CALILUNG, gaya ng iba pang ebidensya kuno ng prosecution, ay hindi sapat para patunayan ang paratang na ito. Trying to prove this stretched narrative using a hodgepodge of materials is a waste of this honorable court's time and the Filipino people's money. Si VP Sara na mismo ang nagsabi na hindi assassin ang kinausap niya. This term only came from people who took her statements out of their proper context and tried to exaggerate them for what they really meant. The truth of the matter is this: she and her family were threatened, and while her response was unconventional, it was justified. What triggered her response was a question about Operation Romanov, which is the plot to eliminate VP Sara and her entire family. The NBI's own records prove this. In the minutes of the meeting of Dempsey Reyes' interview, he said, and I quote, "May press con kasi earlier than that," sabi niya, parang hindi lang niya gusto daw, sabi lang niya gusto daw siyang patayin daw, according to her, ni Speaker. That was during a press conference the day before, November 2022. End of quote. During the virtual press con, Princess Maui mentioned Operation Romanov again and even warned her about her safety. Reyes talked about it, Princess Maui reiterated it, but the NBI gaslighted it. When VP Sara uttered those words, she was not responding as Sara Duterte, the Vice President, but Sara Duterte, the wife, mother, daughter, and sister, who only sought to protect her own and her family members' lives. Operation Romanov is in place, and the threat against their lives is real. VP Sara became the target of unauthorized intelligence and surveillance operations by government operatives that exposed her family to high-level risks and security threats, thereby causing intense trauma and uncontrollable fear. Her homes in Davao and Manila were profiled, and this is proven by classified casing reports. Her trusted security personnel were removed. Her schedule of official functions, like the one in Naga, was leaked by intelligence agents, and her security was heavily compromised. In sum, the prosecution was right in using the term culmination. But the prosecution's interpretation is wrong. Rather, when VP Sara left the administration, she suffered various forms of threats and harassment for many months from the powers that be, and the culmination was her statement on that fateful early morning in November 2024. She didn't commit an impeachable offense. She drew the line in the sand and said, "Enough is enough." That is the meaning, and that is the context. Finally, as to the alleged grave threats and inciting to sedition, these are defined by their vice penal code and are punishable by prisión correccional. Thus, these fall under the jurisdiction of the MTC or first-level courts. These charges are not other high crimes as contemplated by the Constitution as grounds for impeachment and are therefore not impeachable. After all, VP Sara was fighting two important battles that day. One against the threat to her family's life, and another against the life of the ordinary Filipino, constantly suffocated by the immense weight of corruption, which she talked about during the press con. She never incited sedition. She merely echoed the voice of ordinary Filipinos. Her message that day only reflected what was already in their hearts and minds. There was no betrayal of public trust. She actually upheld the people's trust as she spoke for and behalf of the people. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Vidluan. Chair declares a 50... Senator Judge Bam Aquino, before we declare a recess.
Yes, just a quick manifestation, Mr.
You may
President.
proceed, sir.
Tapos na po tayo sa unang witness. It's taken us maybe a total of 9 hours for the first witness. Ito ho, isang pakiusap sa parehong grupo. Alam ko po may kanya-kanya tayong estilo, may kanya-kanya tayong strategy. But if possible, can we allow the testimonies to be heard? Can we have proceedings that will go straight to the point? Kasi po nanonood ang taong bayan, pati po kaming mga senator judge. Gusto rin ho naming makita itong mga proceedings, yung mga ebidensya na mas madali ring maintindihan. So ito naman po, di ho namin pwede itong idikta sa inyo. But if possible, the succeeding witnesses, and we have a long list, this goes for both parties by the way, let's have proceedings where we can go straight to the point, malaman natin yung puntos ng bawat grupo para makapagdesisyon rin po tayo ng maayos. Ito po this is a plea, no? This is not an order to both parties, but if we can, this is the People's Tribunal, we're watching, everybody's watching, sana po payagan natin na lumabas yung mga katotohanan, lumabas yung mga ebidensya upang maging mas madali at mas kaya-aya po yung ating proceedings. Yun lang po, Mr. President.
Thank you so much.
Medyo mahaba na yung pag-upo mo dyan, but allow me a few questions. No? Yung circumstance lang, so paano nagsimula yung investigasyon na na-involve ka? Were you from the start o hindi? At written instructions ba to? O sinabi, oy may investigasyon tayo? Just konting clarity, paano na umpisa yung specific investigation? And was it based on the November 3 video? Tama ba?
November 23, Your Honor.
Okay.
It all started, I received a phone call, sir, from my executive officer that there is a video wherein there is a statement given by the Vice President, which is classified as threat. And I was tasked and assigned to investigate the case, sir.
Okay. So basically, ganun yung pagkasabi na I'm tasking you to look at the video, investigate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you working alone or with a group?
With a group, Your Honor.
NBI group?
Yes, Your Honor.
And was this, is there an interagency also or just purely NBI?
I don't have personal knowledge. Maybe our chief, sir, has the
Okay.
knowledge on that, sir.
Yes. No, that's all I asked for naman, yung personal knowledge.
Yes, Your Honor.
So pakiulit mo yung sinabing, how exactly sinabi sa'yo na tignan mo yung video, imbestigahan mo, or may statement? So,
to be specific, sir, as far as I remember, may statement si Vice President regarding the November 23 press conference na kung saan may pagbabanta na naganap,
Okay.
pakiimbestigahan.
pakiimbestigahan. So, ganun ka-general. May
Yes po.
pagbabantang naganap, pakiimbestigahan.
Yes po.
And you proceeded by watching the video.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you watched the video, you got to the part na may pagbabanta.
No, Your Honor, I first don't know which part of that.
So, you watched the whole video, of course.
First, the clippings, Your Honor.
Okay.
Then, I look for the whole video, Your Honor.
Then you watched the whole video.
Yes, Your Honor.
And thank you for your honesty. So after the clipping, tapos the whole video, what did you do next? You reported or you made your recommendations? I don't understand the process lang kasi.
Upon identifying the whole video, I informed my executive officer that I identified the video, Your Honor.
And then yung sinabi mo yesterday, then you started looking for patterns. That's why you looked at yung dating mga video ni Vice President.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you started investigating the threat against the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you investigate the threat against the Vice President?
We tried, Your Honor.
How did you try?
It is included in our letter to the Vice President, Your Honor. That's why we're inviting her to proceed to our office to investigate the threats to her life, Your Honor.
How about the vlogger who asked her about Oplan or whatever they call that Romanov? Did you invite them?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did they testify?
The Princess Maui did not appear, Your Honor.
Did not appear. Did you also look for previous videos that are threatening to the Vice President?
We look on the Romanov part, Your Honor.
Okay.
But we identify a different person who first mentioned the Romanov, Your Honor.
Did you coordinate with the PSG?
I have no personal knowledge, Your Honor.
You yourself?
Yes, Your Honor. Maybe our chief, Your Honor.
Yeah. But you are aware that the primary responsibility of protecting both the President and the Vice President is the PSG?
Yes, Your Honor.
So isn't it fair to say that any investigation against a threat to the first family, the President or the Vice President, you would normally ask the PSG if they received any threat?
I have no personal knowledge, Your Honor.
No, I'm asking, hindi ba normal sa investigation kung sino yung primary agency na taga-protekta na lumalaban dun sa threat ay tatanungin natin?
Yes, Your Honor.
So bakit hindi tinanong ng NBI ang PSG? Or in your case, why didn't you ask the PSG?
Maybe it can be answered by a chief, Your Honor.
No, I'm not. I will ask your chief also. I'm asking you, when they said, look at this, you looked at other videos, you tried to get Princess Maui, you tried to get the Vice President, but you didn't contact the PSG for the First Lady, for the President, and for all you know, the PSG will tell you right there and there, the threat is real, or the PSG will say, politika lang yan. Diba? Both the Vice President and the President are protected by the PSG. So why wasn't so nakalimutan lang or wala sa procedure nyo or?
Your Honor, there is already a statement from the National Security Council, Your Honor, that it is an active threat, Your Honor. That's why we start investigation.
Yes, and the primary group that will know if it's an active threat is the PSG. So if this was the United States, it will be the Secret Service. So whether the FBI or the CIA, state troopers, the federal marshals, kung sino man mag-iimbestiga, parati nilang tatanungin yung Secret Service. So I'm just curious why we did not ask the PSG input.
Kindly wind up, Senator Cayetano, Senator Judge Cayetano.
So my last question is, how did you characterize the threat of the Vice President to the President? Given that ang exact words niya, huwag kang mag-alala ma'am sa security ko kasi may kinausap na akong tao, sinabi ko sa kanya, kapag pinatay ako. So that'll be fair to you and not vague, no? Did that phrase, kapag pinatay ako, have any bearing in your investigation?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what was that bearing or thoughts in your mind?
First of all po, dun sa statement, may nakausap na po. It already took place before pa yung mangyari yung meeting. And nung condition...
Me, I'm not talking about yung may kinausap na para pumatay. Ang sinasabi ko, yung sinabi niya na pag pinatay ako.
Yes, Your Honor.
How did that affect your investigation?
There is a condition na kapag pinatay siya. Yeah. But as we can see, it's only applicable if there is only two parties. The statement make a loophole wherein a third party can use that na kapag namatay si BP, ma-execute ngayon yung statement ni BP na may nakausap na siya without the participation of the one mentioned, the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker of the House, Your Honor.
That's fair. But what I'm saying is that in your reports, did you characterize it as a conditional threat? Kasi kung hindi naman siya pinatay, the logical implication is that there's no threat against the... So I'm not saying it's not illegal, immoral to contract a killer. Ha? I'm just trying to follow the logic. Na pag sinabi kong pakukulong kita, Mr. Witness, pag nagsinungaling ka under oath, then it's actually not a threat. It's a legal... I'm just telling you the law, di ba? Pero pag sinabi kong pag hindi ka sumunod sa akin, ano yung kita? So that's my last question lang. So how did you characterize that? It wasn't a conditional in your mind because may kinausap na?
even with or without, sir, it's still considered a threat as long as the
I have no doubt there. I'm just asking, is it a conditional threat?
Based on our affidavit, sir, I believe it's conditional, which
Based on your affidavit. But your initial assessment, yung personal mo as an investigator, this is an investigation of the whole NBI, but yung personal mo.
The threat is absolute, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Judge Cayetano.